All right, guys. Hey, out there. How are y'all holding up? How you doing? Getting tired of that question? Sometimes when we're stressed out, we can get so sick of hearing the words, "How are you?" Because truthfully, how often do we actually answer that question with any kind of honesty? Hopefully, you have people that you can share those actual feelings with. And if you don't, reach out to me. Or one thing that I encourage people to do is keep a journal. Keep a journal. In fact, that's a great way to kind of structure yourself or start to put in structure into your day, into your week, is keeping a journal of your thoughts and feelings and how things are going. Um, and then celebrate the good stuff within there too. If you feel like if you're one of those people who doesn't have a large support system within that little house that you're stuck in, then create one. And you can start that by journaling. And what I encourage people, so here's where what I do on a daily basis actually starts to contribute to the general public, right? So I visit with people who feel isolated on a daily basis. We talk, these are the people that we talk to, the people who live in assisted living, independent memory care. They feel very isolated from their core support system. And so one of the things I talk about is how to feel connected when you feel so disconnected. So I saw a really funny meme that kind of encapsulates this. Um, it was on Facebook this morning. Someone had posted, "Introverts, reach out to your extrovert friends. They do not know how to do this." I thought that's very apt. Yes. If you feel that you are one of those people who is just kind of shut in, you're feeling isolated, and then reach out. Make your world bigger. Make your world bigger. There are ways to do that. Obviously, we're doing a lot of connecting via video conferencing, telephone, and everything. But there are ways to connect with people who are not here as well. Journaling can take the form of writing to loved ones who have passed. We can do more for our spiritual well being by connecting to the divine. If you're someone who meditates or prays, that's a great way to connect and make your world bigger. Make it bigger. So, there you go. So, just a couple thoughts. Um, Stress and relaxation. So, obviously, that's the theme of what I'm trying to do is talk to you about how to reduce your stress. If you're starting to feel like your efficacy is just not quite there, maybe you're feeling a little more stressed this week than last, just take note of it. And then I hope that you are able to normalize this for yourself a little bit. And if you can't, then I'll just do it for you because we're all feeling the pinch. And if we're all feeling it, then you're not alone in those feelings. And I hope that's a comfort to you. Um, now, one thing I wanted to stress today was waking up to yourself. When we can get very caught up in the news, we can get very caught up in the daily routine of our life. I want you to think about the things that maybe two ends of the spectrum here. What have you cut out? What are you not doing that you normally do? And then what are you putting into your life maybe at a higher rate than you probably should? Um, when when the stresses of life or the stresses of the situation kind of get to us, what's the first thing to go? Well, for some of us, it's our self care. We stop exercising, maybe we go to bed a little later, we're eating food that we don't um, normally eat, um, and we're maybe eating more of it. Um, be aware of what these things are and what it really is, because it's not bad, it's not, these are coping skills. You're trying to cope. And so what we're doing is we're cutting things out or we're adding things into our life that maybe they're not exactly the best thing for us. Um, and sometimes we cut out things that really remind us who we are. So if you have a hobby or you have something that you normally do that you really enjoy, that really helps you to connect with yourself, and you've cut that out, it's time to put it back in. There's lots of ways to do that. Um, One of the things that my family does, we're really big into music. My wife is a music teacher. She teaches at home. My kids all play instruments. They're way more talented than I am. But we all perform, we all sing at the very least. And so, one way that we have been able to connect with that, because we can't go to the theaters and we can't go to the performances, and we can't go to the concerts, well, we did one on our front porch. So what my wife and I did was help the kids to kind of put together a concert for themselves. This is a way for us to connect with the things that really make us feel like ourselves. And we were surprised at the reception that we got. Neighbors were coming out and sitting on their porches to listen, and we had cars pull up to the house, and very appropriately distanced. But it was really great to have the reception that we did. And you're not always going to get that, because what you're doing may not be something that you're going to do for the masses. But what that taught us was that there is still a way to connect with those things, even when all the resources are gone. So we didn't have the theater space. We didn't have we didn't have a lot of the normal things that we have when we want to connect to those talents and performing experiences. However, just getting on the front porch, we were able to provide ourselves that opportunity to connect with our talents, to connect with our children. The benefits. We felt closer as a family, we felt closer to each other, and we felt closer to our neighbors, which was a fun little twist. But there's lots of things that maybe you do that maybe you're not doing as much of because your mind is committed elsewhere. You're spending a little more time listening to the news, or you're sitting with your phone, flipping through Facebook at night, making sure your friends are okay. So how do you provide yourself that kind of time? Well, we got to talk about structure and limits. So if you find that your extra time is not being committed to those things that help you connect with yourself, we have to find ways to set structure and limits into your life once again. So where are you? One thing that you need to become more aware of is, where are you outside of your normal schedule? So that's a funny thing to even ask you when you're maybe doing things you don't normally do. Maybe your job has shifted. Maybe you were normally doing physical therapy and now you're over here with marketing. You're like, this is totally different. So you're juggling a lot of balls. So it's time to set some structure into your day to do the things that remind you who you are. So whether that's setting an alarm and saying, I'm going to get up at this time and I'm going to do these activities, or it's just as simple as, when I go to bed, I'm not going to look at the phone. I'm actually going to make sure that I get to bed at a certain time so that when I wake up, I'm going to be able to do these things. Or it's setting cues. So if you're an artist and you haven't picked up a brush or a pencil or your pastels or whatever it is that you work on, then they need to be in a very obvious place. So put them on the dining room table. That's one thing my wife has taught me. One of her coping skills, she loves puzzles. And when things start to get a little jumbled in life, she loves to put together a puzzle. I love what that is metaphorically. I think it's rich metaphorically. You know, when you just feel like you can't connect the pieces in your life, put together a puzzle. But what she does is she takes half the dining room table, clears it off, and that's my puzzle place. And every time you walk into the kitchen or you walk past that table, it's a cue. Oh yeah, here's this thing that I love to do that helps me cope. So if you're finding that you're not doing those things that help you cope, that help you feel like you, put it in a very obvious place so that you can't help but walk past it. Let's see. Oh, and then I wanted to talk a little bit about light. I think we start to use a lot of metaphorical language, right? We start to talk about light and dark when we're feeling like there are forces greater than us that are imposing in our lives. And And so I wanted to talk a little bit about that. I love, I used to work for a company called Anasazi that taught me about light, and shadow and darkness. And when we're starting to feel the darkness in our life, when you're starting to feel like you're isolated, you're starting to feel stressed, you're starting to feel, or maybe you've been feeling that way for a while, I want you to think about this metaphor. When you go into a room that's completely dark, and you want it to be bright, and you want to be able to see things, you don't chase away the darkness. You just turn the light on. You don't have to focus on how do I get rid of the darkness. All you got to focus on is how to add more light. Darkness cannot exist where light exists. It just can't. So how do you add more light into your life? So stop thinking about take away. Let's start talking about adding. What are the things I can put into my life that make me feel more joy? What can I add to my life so that I feel more connected? If we can cut out the words that tear down and take away. So when you're feeling really stressed and you start thinking, gosh, I wish it just didn't feel this way, or I wish this would just go away. Well, if you want darkness to go away, add more light. What are the things that add light to your life? Who do you connect with? What are the things that you do? And if you're starting to feel like, wow, my list is really limited because of the quarantining, what are the things that you used to do that you haven't done in a long time? There are ways to connect to activities and things that are very accessible, that will connect you to memories and things that you probably would never have thought about doing. When was the last time you thought about sitting down and coloring? Maybe that's not something you do as an adult, but would that activity connect you to someone from your past? And if so, does that sound appealing to you? My kids want to make slime and things, and one thing that I thought of was, my mother used to make Play-Doh. I haven't done that yet, but I'm excited about doing that activity because not only will that be something that they will enjoy, but it will help me to connect to things of my past. And we have those materials in the kitchen, and we have YouTube to be able to help us figure out how to do it. So I hope those were some good ideas for you to help you feel connected, help you to start waking up to yourself in this process and decrease the stress in your life. So not a lot of activities this time, just a lot to think about. And then to send us off, let's just remember to take time for breath, take time to relax yourself, and you're gonna get through this. We're all gonna get through it. I feel like my send-off should be like, we're all in this together from the High School Musical, right? I've been saying it so much. But maybe you should go back online, listen to that song, laugh your head off a little bit, and have a great day. Take care.